that right there could be another factor of why we're bad at our jobs, why we're bad at business, because we're not prioritizing money over everything else.
No, and I mean, that's, in general, I will always stupidly prioritize long-term health of our business over short-term gain.
In the Midwest, you know the best is there waiting, so come and join the conversation. I still approve, fan and artist and creator too. This is how the challengers do. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep bringing cards, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with
Patrick Brower.
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 And
W. Dal Bush.
W. Dal Bush.
Dal Bush.
Dal Bush.
Dal.
Dal.
W. Dal Bush.
There was someone over on Blue Sky who not only shared the post about our sale, but also bought stuff on the first day.
Neat.
And earned a shirt.
Cool.
And this is their third shirt.
Excellent.
They live in Seattle.
Okay.
So they're nowhere near us.
Yeah.
But they had nothing but nice things to say about... They've never been to the store.
Okay.
But they're also a podcast listener. So thank you for that.
Thanks.
And I never know if it's okay to mention names or not, so I don't.
I wouldn't.
Like, it's not a... I'm not, like,
unless
hiding this person's identity, but I am, actually.
Yeah, I mean, if someone specifically told you this story, like, to
print.
Yeah, I mean, basically, like, unless someone gives you the explicit, like, you can use my name, it's okay, I would always prefer not to.
Right.
At least that's what Taylor Swift told me. Well, oh, gosh. Sorry. Never mind. Never mind.
Wow.
I didn't.
All right, name dropper.
Sorry.
Wow. I wasn't ready for it. And it's great. I love it. I love that people from other cities are taking advantage of this.
Yeah, one of the neat things that I've noticed is that we actually, because we've been using Shopify as our online sales platform for a few years now, we've had a few sales that have been on this platform. And so I can look at some orders and go, oh, this is someone who only hits this for the sale. But it's cool that, like, every year they're like, yes, I will get something from the Challenger sale.
Yeah, sure.
Like, that's cool.
I mean, it's not like we're hoping, like, oh, we want them to become a new mail order subscription person for us. That's not what this is about. Yeah.
No. Like, we offer mail order subscriptions, but we never really... I don't think we're trying to be competitive in that space.
No, definitely not.
Like,
I mean,
if you want to, sure, and we try to make it as cost-effective and as intuitive to utilize as possible, but we understand that most people who would want to use that service are people who have shopped at the store who now, for one reason or another, can't make it on a regular basis.
Yeah, and honestly, it is kind of flattering that somebody still wants us to be their store when they don't get to engage in the store.
That's true.
And at this point, let's face it, we're pretty burned out. This has been a rough couple of years.
Yes.
If you will.
I would just go ahead and say the last 14 months.
And
been rough.
Business-wise, we are at our most cash poor we've ever been. Like, for the last couple of years, we talk about things are tight, but there was always a tiny little safety cushion that was built in.
The needle is on the meter is pretty heavily pinging on precarious at this point.
Yeah, so basically, you jumped in the middle of my cushion metaphor. Don't fall off anything high.
Yep.
There's nothing to break your fall. I mean, that's what a cushion is for, but there comes a point where you'd like to, start building that back up.
Mm-hmm.
And traditionally, we think, oh, the sale's going to help in that regard. It is not.
No.
It is I don't want to be super negative, but I also don't want to keep doing metaphors of, like, staying afloat or something.
Yeah, I mean, to put it bluntly, the sale this year is to make sure that there is a Challengers in the remainder of February.
Yeah.
To be as blunt about this as possible.
That's and I like that it's such a short window. Like, this isn't like, this is going to keep us going for...
This isn't for the rest of the year. Oh, boy.
I remember when Donovan Challenger was with us regularly, and used to do the Renegade Craft Fair all the time.
Sure.
And it would be in, I don't know, August or September.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, this is great. I make enough money to live for the rest of the year on this. Like, wow, what's that like?
Yeah, that would be pretty great.
And we talked to a regular yesterday who, whenever we say stuff like this that's perceivably negative,
which, for the record, I only really say on the podcast.
Right, and that's kind of the job of the podcast.
Right, and like, but it's always weird because they're in the store. I'm so reluctant to say anything negative because I just don't want that vibe in the store.
Sure, like you came to our store, you should have a good experience.
Yeah, if someone's like, "How's business?" the answer is always going to be, "Getting by."
Yeah,
I'm never going to be like, "Oh my god, it's terrible." We're
so you guys are still here and going strong. Well, we're here.
Yeah, I never wanted. That's never the vibe I want in the store, ever, ever, ever.
When things seem dire, it's always the same people that step up, and those are the people that never need to.
Yeah,
because they're always with us.
Yeah,
right there.
The problem
hand in hand.
The problem with
as
them
we
doing that is that
forward.
Not only does it not necessarily help because they already were contributing and helping us stay afloat, but then additionally now I have to feel guilty about it.
Yeah,
because it's like I don't want you of all people doing more. Don't do that. Please don't.
And as we watch our mailing list grow, it's not the kind of financial return you expect with more eyeballs on the product.
Yeah, I mean, certainly one of the things, I'm sure we'll talk about this in greater length, and why not right now? Our store-wide sale just started, and I was there for day one, which was February 7th. It was a Wednesday.
Me too, for all but 1 hour.
You were there for some of it. It's true. We had specifically called in Molly Jane to give us a hand on Wednesday because the expectation based on last year was that the first day of the sale would be very, very heavy on online orders. A lot of them coming at 11. 11 o'clock on a Wednesday is when we have the most actual people in the store for the day, with usually a line outside. And then the first in-store day of the sale is also a day that a lot of people hit the store right away at 11 because they want to get, essentially the fresh pickings. So all those things combined, we're like, well, we're going to need another person basically just to be collecting and packing online orders. And that was my job. That was where I assigned
you're never
myself.
An extra person. You are the person.
I am the third man in this scenario. So
out of two men?
No, Molly Jane's a man too. She works for a living, Patrick. She's a man. So I had intended to be doing a lot of packing and stuff, and I'd set up tables the night before. I had all my supplies ready, so I could just, grab stuff and get stuff ready and pack stuff, and that was my intention. And then the first hour was very much that. It was me going and grabbing armloads of stuff and bringing them into the other room, putting them on the table, and going and printing out packing slips. And while the packing slip was printing, going and grabbing another order. And about an hour in, that was it. And then the orders came throughout the day, but it would usually be farther apart. So suddenly by like 2 o'clock, it was like, I guess I'm going to take the tables down. And there was a part of me that was, whenever the sales velocity or volume is less than we anticipate it being, that's always a bummer on its own, compared to previous years, months, weeks, whatever. But the part that specifically bugged me personally was the idea of, I have spent personally 9 or 10 months revising our website and making it more user-friendly. It's a whole different website than it was last year during the sale, which was an older design. There's more sorting and filtering features that we have on our search pages that should allow people to find stuff they're looking for a lot faster. That costs us a bunch of money. It takes me a bunch of time each week to make sure that stuff is working correctly.
A bunch of time each week, yeah.
So to see like essentially a third as many orders on the first day of the sale was like, after all that time and effort and money and work, and it's just like, that's the bummer of how much we've put into the website over the last year, is that inherently it didn't matter. Like it's hard not to look at it and say, this was all a colossal waste of time, energy, and money.
But don't you ever look at it like, hey, imagine how much worse it would have been if you didn't do this?
No, because I can look back to a year ago and go, it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, but I mean, the drop-off would have been maybe even more.
No, don't think that at all. I mean, it's possible. I'll allow for the possibility anything could have happened. That, if we would have done the font in a different style, it would have been way worse of a drop off. But
probably fonts are a major concern.
The reality of the situation is I look at it and I go, this was a waste of my time. And I hate feeling like that. I hate it's not that I felt a sense of pride in our website and then that was taken away from me. It was more just a sense of I have spent so many hours making this thing into what it is. And not only did it not matter, but I would have been better off arguably not doing anything at all and leaving it exactly as it was.
Yeah, but I think fundamentally there's a part of you that can't do that. If you can make it better, you're going to spend the time and effort to do it.
Oh, Patrick, that was before Wednesday. I had a learning experience on Wednesday, February 7th.
Oh no, is this a brand new DAO that we've just seen? Your origin happened on Wednesday?
There is a DAO that has a very different calculus when it comes to how much energy and time I want to put into stuff like that.
Wow. Today I spent some time putting in new gaming product that we'll be receiving tomorrow.
Okay.
And I made it a point to, for the first time ever, tag those products with the on sale date of Wednesday.
Great.
So they don't get counted for the sale.
Sure. They wouldn't anyway because they don't have the specific sale tag applied to them.
Oh. See, here I was feeling all proud about, like, I too am learning.
No, I mean, I like what you're doing because I usually have to go into stuff that we receive from Southern Hobby that it's going to be like a new D&D book or whatever. And I put in a specific, like, I would put in a new release tag for February 14th.
Okay.
So that when we populate stuff on the website, that stuff is part of it.
Well, I backdated it to this week, so it would be during the sale.
Okay.
Like, for the week duration of the sale.
And honestly, I don't think the stuff that you have is stuff that we would necessarily put on the website. Because I think it's all
it is not.
stuff.
That is correct. None of it. But I mean, just still in store, so it doesn't accidentally get rung up. As
Yeah, since it didn't have the sale tag applied to it a week ago when I was tagging everything, then it doesn't matter what you put for the new release tag.
But moving forward, when we receive things like that, you want it tagged to the date.
Yeah, basically, like if we get stuff in on, like, if Wednesday, February 7th was one release date, and Wednesday, February 14th is the next release date, and we got something in on like February 9th, I would probably tag it both days, the 7th and the 14th.
To make sure it gets the extra eyeballs.
In the same way that we would keep it in the new release section in the store for 1 week, and then for the next week, assuming that people on Wednesday didn't get a chance to see it yet.
Yeah.
So I would do that for toys and for all that stuff. That, like, D&D books, toys, things that would go on the website that we would consider letting people buy online for in-store pickup or shipping.
But, say, dice restock of a color we haven't had before, you don't care.
How do you mean?
Well,
I mean, dice are already in our system.
Sure, but what if it's
restock wouldn't matter?
But but I mean, so we have specific styles like
a dice style,
Gemini or Borealis.
I probably wouldn't care because it's so minor and we wouldn't put those in the new release section. We would just put those with the dice.
And also, can you date tag a variant? I guess you can.
Maybe I haven't looked. I would assume it's possible.
But for D&D stuff or but none of the game cards because
and toys we would get from a different vendor now. But in the past, if we would have gotten Hasbro stuff, I would tag that to be part of the 2 release weeks.
Annoyingly, with the most recent X-Men wave that we ordered, it had 6 figures listed in an 8-figure case, but it didn't say the breakdown.
I assume the Cyclops and Jean Grey are double packed.
Yeah, that was my guess. But
I'm really thinking about both the Executioner and the Nightcrawler from that wave.
So,
but I did not order them because I'm like, no.
All I did was 1 case.
I saw.
And then a couple extra of some of them, not Executioner though.
I saw. I don't think he would necessarily sell. Like
I didn't.
He's a
figure
figure
order anymore.
That I really love because Jason Pearson did the design on him in his first appearance. But it's the animated version, so there's a couple character details where I'm like, oh, I don't really care about this version then.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair.
And Nightcrawler is. They've done Nightcrawler figures before, and I've never picked one up, but he is one of my favorite X-Men characters, and I love like the hyper-articulated Marvel Legends. But again, didn't pull the trigger.
And I'm assuming he has a wire tail.
I'd assume, yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes you think you don't pull the trigger, but then Nedroid figures show up, and you're like, oh yeah.
And then you realize you ordered the Hideaki Anno Nedroid figure. Why not?
I think that is a thing we all, most comic shop people have encountered. You order something for yourself, but don't put it in your file because it's new to order or whatever. Then when it comes in, you're like, who is this for? Oh, that was me.
Yeah. Or sometimes you're like, no, I don't need to order an El Desperado figure. Oh, wait, I already did.
Yeah. Literally. Because now Ringside Collectibles is doubling up on their new figure emails. Normally it would be like, hey, this is on pre-order. And then they would do a, hey, it's in stock now. But they're just doing a, hey, you can pre-order Desperado. So this week I get a El Desperado email. I'm like, no, I don't. I can let this one go. I don't need a Ringside Collectibles exclusive New Japan Pro Wrestling El Desperado figure.
Right.
I'll let it go. And then, like 2 days later, I get a tracking notification email. I'm like, oh, what? Because I've got
the next wave
of House of Black coming, and I've got the 3-pack of The Acclaimed with Billy Gunn coming. So I'm like, oh, what is it? Oh, it's El Desperado, because I ordered it when they initially put that email out a couple of months ago.
Whoops.
I completely forgot. So here I am being like, look at me, being all adult and being like, I don't need this figure. I will let it, I can live without this one. Nope, it's probably at the store right now.
Yeah.
Whoops. It happens. But see, that was a clever way of still talking about wrestling in the context of owning a store.
Sure.
But now what I get to do is one of the things that really just brings me the most joy in life. What would you guess that is, Dal?
I didn't realize you felt joy in your life, so I'm really interested to hear what this answer is.
That is fair. That is absolutely fair of an answer. But if you had
edge of my seat right here.
So you have no guesses?
Other people's pain.
No, a specific thing.
BBC Radio 1.
That's a very good guess.
James A. Caster.
Taskmaster.
I knew I'd get there.
Yeah.
You do love the Taskmasters.
I do love Taskmaster.
It's now beaten out British panel shows for your truest joy in life.
Well, I consider it a British panel show.
You do.
It's not, though.
You do, but there's the game component that makes it sort of not that.
This is a weird point in the year where there's a new season of both 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown and Would I Lie to You happening.
Wow.
So
are you also on a dry spell for Taskmaster? Is there anything anywhere
Taskmaster,
in the world airing?
I still have 1 or 2 to go for New Zealand season 4.
Okay.
But Taskmaster will be probably like late March, early April.
For UK, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's the main one.
Sure, but I mean, you watch the other ones.
I do. I watch some of them, yeah. There's a lot I don't watch. A lot that are...
Really?
Yeah, a lot of them have to be subtitled.
Oh, so you wouldn't watch like a foreign language one?
I mean, I have, and I have access.
It's not the same experience.
I have access to them.
Sure.
And I will get to it.
Because a lot of like humor, it's tough to translate.
Lizzie Challenger and I got to see Taskmaster contestant and Ireland's #1 exported comedian, Dara O'Brien, last week. And we rented some friends of Lizzie's who said, like, oh yeah, Ursula Carlson, who was from season 2 of Taskmaster New Zealand, is going to be at Thalia Hall coming up.
Nice.
And not one of my favorite contestants, and also not from New Zealand, but she's a New Zealand comedian. The way Dara O'Brien is from Ireland, but is a
UK comedian.
Is it well, an England comedian, considered a London comedian, if you will.
Sure, okay.
Who lives just on the block from the Taskmaster house.
Nice. That must be convenient for him.
Anyway, Taskmaster is shown in UK on Channel 4.
Okay.
Channel 4 recently announced a tremendous number of layoffs and an entire pivot for their network, for the whole station. They're targeting digital first content.
Okay.
And it's because they've lost a ton of money.
Sure. I mean, broadcast television is
sure.
Boy.
Well, I mean, broadcast in UK is
satellite.
Well, I mean, it's different depending on the channel. Like, you know, there's a licensing fee, so
but just in general, I mean, like getting people to pay to watch something on television is a hard business everywhere in the world right now.
Well, that's not the aspect we're talking about. Okay. Channel 4 is a standard, hey, we've got commercial breaks network.
Sure.
And it's the lack of ad revenue that's killed them.
Again, because
there's no, like, nobody's willing to pay
television
advertising rates.
No.
And some networks have planned for this, and the markets all say like this is a dry spell, so if you prepared for it, you're okay. But like there's a bunch of Channel 4 stuff that is not even going to air.
Oh.
Like we've filmed it, it's in the can. We're just not going to put it out.
Wow.
Which I don't know how that is helpful.
Doesn't seem cost effective.
But
okay.
it's just to show that yet another corner of entertainment is not doing well.
Yeah.
And fortunately for us, there's never been advertising for comics really to fail, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So the advertising is left to the stores,
Right.
basically.
Well, I mean, sometimes if a company is smart, they can unify communications across all channels.
Yeah, but that's so. I mean, the idea of that is just so overwhelming. Imagine.
That's why DC's the number one publisher.
Imagine how that would work.
Because they unified their channels.
Totally distracted me.
Sorry. Another corner of entertainment that's not doing
No.
well?
I was going somewhere specific.
Advertising.
More research points to the statistics of the majority of comic fans who are online or who get their information online is still tiny.
Right.
And the majority of how we try to reach people is, well, electronically. What else? What other avenues do we have?
No idea.
And it's not just posting on the social channels, which are all dwindling in returns.
Yep.
And while it was super great to see,
TikTok's the only one that seems to work, and that seems very difficult for a group of comic retailers in their middle age to successfully utilize.
I question how TikTok actually works, and what I don't mean the dynamics or the mechanics of it. I mean the results. Like, how does it
No idea.
drive people into stores to buy products?
Can't imagine. I don't know how it works.
Like, I know it works when it goes viral and people get excited and they talk about it and they share a meme or what have you. But does it make somebody find a brick and mortar store for anything or to find a product?
I can't think it would, but I don't know.
We talked a lot recently about our email strategy and how we do it and alterations that we've made starting this week. Not in the number of emails. And every time we talk about the number of emails you get from us per week, I still always forget the Tuesday night one that's targeted specifically to people that have books on hold.
It's a couple hundred people at most.
Yeah, compared to thousands and thousands that get the other.
Yeah, it's just like the monthly catalog email. Like there's like maybe close to 400 people that get that. That's it.
What's the criteria for people that get that one?
Managed comic subscribers.
Okay. Gotcha.
But like the Friday FOC emails are for everybody because there's always the hope that someone who is shopped with us who isn't a subscriber might go, oh, I want to pre-order that comic book or that graphic novel or whatever. So it's worth it to send it to them just in case.
This brings up a transition that I wasn't quite making yet, but I'm going to.
Okay.
And this comes from a friend of the store and a patron, and it deals with subscription service, and we're not specifically mentioning their name because we don't want to out the stores that this is about.
Okay.
But we had someone who was referencing all the work we do with Managed Comics and how we strive to make the most efficient and consumer-friendly subscription-facing program available for people. We don't make it, but we try to make it so people have
That's the hope.
all the information available to maintain their subscriptions. And this person does not shop with us for their weekly comics. They have 2 local comic shops because they live in a different state.
Okay.
As with someone else from earlier in the conversation.
Sure.
This episode. So this person has 2 local comic shops they go to, and one of them just doesn't order from Lunar. So you know that there are stores that exist like that.
I can't imagine it. It seems so strange.
Sure, but you acknowledge it exists.
Now that you've told me about it, yes. I literally don't understand how you can, like, if you were Quimby's, who is like an alternative bookstore that happens to carry some graphic novels and zines and stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't have a Lunar account. I can't imagine they carried single DC comic books, so why would it matter? Everything else they would get graphic novel-wise, they can get from dedicated book distributors.
Sure.
But if you are like a comic shop that carries superhero comic books to be like, we don't carry DC comic books. It's just like, why? Why have a store then? I don't understand it. Very strange to me.
And this person, this comic fan and subscriber, is mainly a DC subscriber. So they have a secondary store they go to for their DC books.
Yep.
And I'm going to describe to you the process they go through to ensure they get their books on a weekly basis. And you tell me if you think it's convenient or not, or even a thing you would do.
Okay.
I mean, granted, your other option would be, I don't know if there's a third store in the area or
so he's mail order.
Mail order, but just to be clear, that's not your opinion on the, because I haven't said it yet, right?
I'm allergic to everything you're about to tell me.
Oh. I thought you were a dog person. The store sends out a Friday final order cutoff email listing everything that's available to be ordered, that orders close on for the weekend on a Friday.
Okay.
So Friday, the email goes out, and I've not seen the email. I don't know the depths it goes to. I don't know if it's a link to a site. I don't know if it's a list, or if there's descriptions or pictures or whatever. But there's an FOC email that goes out on Friday, and by Sunday, you have to email back what you want.
Okay.
So you're basically choosing your order off of their FOC menu.
Okay.
And you place it by Sunday so they know what to order for you.
Okay.
That's step one. Step two is you need to personally keep track of the books that you asked for.
Okay.
I don't think there's a database. You keep a record of it.
Okay.
Every Monday, they get an email of everything that's coming out that, I guess, Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay.
What have you. Let's just say Wednesday.
Wednesday, since they don't carry Lunar.
No, this is the second store.
Oh, the second store. Okay.
Yes. So this is the store they go to for their DC books.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can tell I'm riveting you with the details.
I'm trying not to betray where my heart is in this.
So to recap, FOC emails when the orders are due. You request what you want, you keep track. The Monday those books are coming out, i.e. every Monday you get a list of here's everything coming out, then you have to email by the end of the day what books you had ordered.
Wow.
For them to pull them for you for that week.
Okay.
So you basically have to request them twice.
Okay.
So if you pre-ordered a book, I'm guessing, if you pre-ordered a book and then didn't remind them you pre-ordered it, you don't get it.
Okay.
Now, in theory, it's supposed to work where if you have a standing order for, let's say, Amazing Spider-Man, well, let's say Batman because it's mainly DC focused store, that on your Monday email, you shouldn't have to remind them you get Batman because that's a standing order.
Okay.
But occasionally, if you don't get the book.
Okay.
So you basically have to submit your order for the same book twice.
Okay.
That seems like a whole bunch of extra work for not only the subscriber, but for the store themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I can see a whole bunch of failure points where someone doesn't remember what they ordered, so they don't ask for it right, or they ask for stuff they didn't order, so now suddenly a store might not have enough copies. Like, I don't know how the store vets who did or did not order something.
That's one of my questions. Like, how do they know that you asked for it the first time?
Because if it's just the honor system after that, you're just asking for people to take advantage of that. To just say at the last minute, like, oh no, I did order Ultimate Black Panther.
Yeah.
I ordered all of the hot books for this week. I'm clairvoyant that way. I would only ever do any of those steps, even the first one time for a store. If something weird happened to their database or something, and they're like, look, we cannot do FOCs any other way. You have to just tell us what you want, and we will put the orders in when everything goes back up. I would do that one time. If anything else I had to do in that list of steps, I had to do more than once, as in for consecutive weeks, I would shop somewhere else. None of that stuff would I do on a regular basis. You don't mean
one time per book. You mean one time total.
Period.
But
you would have 1 week to ask me to do that, where I would consider doing it instead of shopping somewhere else.
But wait, hold on. I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. How is that different from your proposed pre-order only scenario?
Well, one, you wouldn't have to do the second step ever.
Fair.
You wouldn't have to say to us this. The other thing is just ordering from the catalog. You just go through the catalog and order. And you don't have 3 days. You have an entire month.
You do have 3 days if you only do it on FOCs.
Sure, and some people do.
Yeah.
We have a number of subscribers that like only doing stuff on FOC, and
Sure.
I understand it. The market now has shifted so far away from there being a monthly catalog that you get that has all the information you need. Even the catalogs that Marvel and DC produce don't have every cover, because sometimes they don't know who's doing the covers yet. So if you're someone who wants to order specific Marvel covers, you can only do it at FOC. Christ, Distillery as a publisher is built around not telling you who's doing all their covers when the catalog comes out.
Right. And then also offering you variant covers after a book has come out.
Yeah, here's 2 more covers.
And then having to replace bad copies because of the printing errors.
That's a different thing. So yeah, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with having to submit pre-orders on a regular basis, because that's how it should work. The idea of standing orders is such a weird idea because the market isn't that anymore. We're so many years past the point where it was just like, oh, I just get Batman. Okay, cool. What happens when Gotham War starts in its own book? You only get Batman. So unless we decide that you should also get Batman, you would need to tell us you want that extra chapter and the concluding chapter that comes out 2 months later. That's its own separate book.
Turns out no one wanted that.
No, and because the story wasn't good. But that's the market now, is no publisher is set up to just make the one X-Men book every month on the 3rd week of every month forever. Like, that stopped being a thing this millennium. So no, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with asking people to, on a monthly basis, go through the catalog, or even on a weekly basis for FOCs, and just check the stuff you want. It's not super difficult. That's what you have to do if you pre-order anything from any place else. I've talked about this ad nauseum. If you are someone who collects action figures, you have to wait for, let's say you're a Transformers collector and you get stuff from Hasbro Pulse. You have to wait for Hasbro Pulse to say, hey, we're doing a live stream. And then they do a live stream. And on that live stream, they announce 5 or 6 new figures. And at the end of the live stream, they are available for pre-order on Hasbro's site. You go to Hasbro's site and you say, I want these figures. And then they say, great, we're going to bill you when they come out.
Well, sure, but
that's it.
But
you don't have a standing order for Transformers.
With the comics industry would be they do those live streams every single week.
Right, and this is the thing.
Because of the sheer volume of product.
Well, and this is the thing. The Hasbro one is arguably worse.
Okay.
Than what you would normally deal with monthly catalogs, weekly FOCs, regularly scheduled things. Notice in advance of, hey, we're doing this book and it's coming out in 3 months and you can order it in a month. This is all you find out and it goes on pre-order. So you have to be aware of it. And there's a window. If you get it in the first 48 hours, you probably don't have to risk them selling out in advance of pre-orders, but they frequently do. The comics industry doesn't even have that. When it goes on order, you have a minimum of a week before they actually close the numbers and it becomes sold out or unavailable. So the idea of asking people to, on a regular basis, specifically pre-order the products they want is how it should work. That's how it works everywhere else.
I do acknowledge that when I was first subscribing to comics at a local comic shop, after just taking chances on the newsstand, it was literally every month you fill out your advanced comics catalog and turn it in. But do you think
the idea of standing orders is not where the market is anymore? They literally don't make comics like that anymore.
But do you think, were we to switch over to a pre-order only scenario, we would lose people who only want the convenience of standing orders because they have so many options, whether it be locally or nationally?
I mean, it's arguable. Like, even the things that you would, to my knowledge, DCBS, who's the major online subscription management subscription service, I think you have to go into them every month and say, I want this issue of Batman. I don't think you have standing orders. You don't fill out your order for the month. You don't get stuff that month. I don't know how Midtown or other places do it. I don't know if they do standing orders. There are people who just fundamentally will not want to engage with it beyond coming in one time and saying, I want this book. But honestly, those people don't get a lot of stuff. Like, the people who we have who spend the most amount of money, who get the most amount of titles, are the ones most actively using Managed Comics.
That's fair. That's true.
They're the ones going in every month and saying, I want these books, I want these series. They're the ones going in every weekend and saying, I want this cover. The people who will never engage with, who won't open an email, who won't go to our website, who won't ever even like do anything besides saying at the front counter that they want this book added to their list, which is fine. You can do that. They get the least amount of stuff. They account for the least amount of our business. I'm not trying to do this. I'm not suggesting this in general because I want to make more work for people. I'm saying doing it the way we're doing it and continue to do it and have done it for the last 16 years is holding on to a legacy of the industry that no longer exists, that is not representative of how publishers treat their products. So us trying to make a square peg fit into a round hole is where all of our frustrations come every single month with subscriptions. Is something that you've always preached for the longest time, is that you do these steps for people and they come to expect it, and then they resent having to do it for themselves. And if you ask them to do it for themselves, to use the tools that you've given them, they find a better experience. They get the covers they want. They have more control over what they receive in. They start to understand the various tools that we're giving them. Like, you can check what you've pre-ordered by going to your Managed Comics portal. You can read the weekly email to find out what you're getting in the next day. You can look at the catalog to find out books that you might want that we wouldn't even carry for the shelf.
Yeah.
The more that we do things for people to keep them from using those tools, the less they're able to actually like be more engaged with the market, to be more excited about the stuff they're getting, and to be more knowledgeable about the things that are available to them.
We have a regular, and I sometimes would stray away from describing this interaction because it's very easy for them to self-identify. Pretty sure they don't listen to this podcast.
Okay.
And kind of don't care if they do. Somebody who is down for, somebody who wants to be down for all Star Wars books.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all Star Wars books, I don't think includes like the Dark Horse All Ages books.
The High Republic Adventures.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it does or not. Mm-hmm. But repeatedly have been told when they say, oh, well, why didn't I get this new series? Like, you didn't ask us for it. But I'm down for all of these.
You're not.
There is no such thing as all Star Wars books. You have to add them yourselves.
Yes.
Or you at least have to tell us in advance that you want it because you know it's coming out.
Right.
So this Wednesday, that person calls in.
Mm-hmm.
Also, at no point in the conversation did they give their name.
Mm-hmm.
I just recognized their voice.
Yes.
And could tell from the, let's just say, tone. I was going to say a different word, but I won't.
I know.
That they wanted, well, first of all, they were looking on our website to order the new Mace Windu book that came out this week.
Mm-hmm.
You can't order it. So, the window's closed for that. You have to give it to us for FOC. That's not what we're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. They just want to buy the one off the rack through our website.
And then I explained that it wouldn't be on until the next day. And at first, and I will give them credit here, at first they seemed taken aback. Like, why would you not have a new comic on your site? Like, it goes on the site the next day to prioritize the in-store experience for people that actually come into the store so they get first dibs, so a book can't be sniped by somebody from a different city because it's suddenly hot or something.
Right. Which is, I mean, that is 100% the reason we do it. Like, I don't know how much of that is still a thing now, but there was a point when we were first starting to offer new books on our website in the pandemic where, I mean, stores were getting cleaned out by people who were just cornering the market on stuff because they could flip it online real fast.
This week it would have been Ultimate Black Panther #1 because 12,000 copies went missing from Penguin Random House. So there's 12,000 less on the market. Stores didn't even get it. Before the, what did you tell me? That it was $35 before it was even on sale?
I think cover price had it like $28 to $35. I think is what they were saying.
Before it was even available to buy in stores for cover price. And when it became available online today, all of ours sold out.
Yeah, we only had a few left.
But the point is, like, that that's another book people should have ordered, but, you know, see Ultimate Spider-Man #1 rant from last month. But when they realized that we're doing it for the benefit of someone like themselves,
a local customer, basically.
Yeah,
like,
they were.
Nothing would make me angrier on a Wednesday at 11:02 a.m. than having to walk over to the New This Week section and grab a bunch of new stuff for somebody who only buys the hot books and lives in a completely different state.
Yep.
Like, if I know that it's not for someone who's even going to read these, who is literally just buying something that they know they can resell it more than we're selling it for, I would probably get rid of the website.
And honestly,
so instead we release stuff on Thursdays.
And that right there could be another factor of why we're bad at our jobs, because while we're bad at business, because we're not prioritizing money over everything else.
No, and I mean, that's in general, I will always stupidly prioritize long-term health of our business over short-term gain, which, hysterically, we opened this podcast by talking about how precarious everything was. So, that was a smart gamble.
Well, in the last 40 minutes, it has not gotten any more stable.
But yeah, I definitely have a very uneasy relationship with how online sales work for comic books. My dream is always that it's going to somebody who is going to read it and enjoy it. And the fear when we sell stuff new comic wise to somebody who lives in a completely different state is if I look at the order and I'm like, God damn it, you're just buying the hot stuff that you can flip. Like, I don't feel great about that. I don't like that. I don't like knowing that I lost 2 copies of a good new book that someone locally could buy and read and enjoy and come back for the next issue of, in favor of somebody who is just going to sell it for 3 times what they paid for it.
Literally using Ultimate Black Panther #1 as the example, we knew its online value before we even had it on, because it was Tuesday night, before it was was for sale. Unless you're a local store somewhere else in Chicago, they may have had it on sale Tuesday. Who knows?
Who knows?
But we literally could have just said, fuck it, these all go up online.
Sure.
We're never going to do that.
Never, ever.
Again, we could be making money hand over fist, and here we are just pissing it all away for customer satisfaction.
And principles. Yeah, it's stupid. It's a stupid
So
way to run a business.
To go back to the Star Wars customer, the point being that they've been told time and again, you need to let us know you want these things in advance of them coming out, and they were looking for it day of release.
Right.
A book that they knew they wanted all along.
Which again, you're welcome to come in and grab it.
So those are the people that are never going to help themselves. Help us to help you, which was the subject heading of a podcast episode like a month ago.
Okay. Yeah. There's always a risk that anytime you institute a set of rules or regulations for how your business is being run, that there's people who are going to find it cumbersome or cumbersome. I'm just going to go with cumbersome. And I mean, that's a thing where, yeah, I guess if you find that to be too troubling and too much work, then I guess we're not the right store for you. Like, to put it in my own terms, if I was ordering Transformers from Hasbro Pulse, would it be more convenient if I could just say, oh, I want everything from this line whenever they go up? Yeah. Are they going to let me do that? No. So what am I going to do about that? Complain to them? No, I'm probably just going to either find a site that'll let me do that. Spoiler, no one will. Or I get used to how they do things and I make my peace with that. Like, that's it.
That's why whenever any social platform, for example, has a beta of a new version, my philosophy is, let me jump right into that right now because it's coming and I better get used to it.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think the things that could be problematic for certain elements of our customer base, I don't think of those things as being inherently themselves problematic. It's just, is someone going to find fault with it? Is someone going to be irritated by it? Yeah, man. Everything you do.
Sure.
There's no policy we've ever had.
Do you mean me specifically?
You specifically.
Ah, shit.
There's no policy that we've ever had that at least one person hasn't been like, that doesn't work for me. And it's like, well, I don't know what to do with that. Like, I can be apologetic that you're feeling this way, but I can't do it a different way because we're doing it this way for a reason. I don't want to talk about the sale t-shirt, but I'll talk about the sale t-shirt.
Sure.
We've mentioned that this year specifically, the rule for the sale t-shirt is you have to spend more than $100 after discount, before tax, on sale merchandise. In years past, we've been more lenient with that. We've let people qualify for the free sale t-shirt by simply picking up their subscription stuff. Here's the hard facts. And if you listen to the beginning of this podcast, none of this is going to shock you.
You know what's coming.
We literally cannot afford to keep giving shirts away. The shirts cost us money. If we are giving you a shirt, if you've earned a shirt by buying extra stuff, that a portion of the extra money that you're spending goes to subsidize the shirt that we have to go get. If it's just stuff that you were already going to pick up from us because you're subscribed to it and you told us you were going to buy it, if you get a shirt off of that, we are literally just losing money.
Yeah.
And enough of those altogether, as people have kind of learned that they can do that over the last 14 or 15 sales, has become too much for us to carry. And this year in particular, after 14 not great months, we cannot afford to give shirts away. They have to be earned. That's it. Like, there are people this year who are like, but I qualified for a shirt last year, and I'm not doing anything differently this year, but suddenly I don't qualify. And it's like, yes, and some of that's our fault for creating exceptions and allowances. But this year, this is the rule. And if that means you don't get a free shirt, I am apologetic that you're not getting a free shirt, but I'm not doing anything differently because I, as a store owner, literally cannot afford to do so.
It's like if you get pulled over for speeding, and you say to the officer, well, I was speeding last week and no one pulled me over.
And I don't want to make light of this necessarily, because some of the people that we're talking about are some of our longest customers and have been with us for years. And I don't want this to be an adversarial thing. I don't want them to think that we're folding our arms and going like, well, tough. Like,
I don't want them to feel like I don't want them to feel like they're being treated unfairly in a financial regard.
No. And so I want to be as blunt about this as possible. The reason why we are enforcing that rule this year is we literally cannot afford to do it differently. We cannot afford to just give out shirts. I wish we could. I wish business was so flush that we could make it like a Christmas gift where we're like, hey, you shopped during a sale, you get a free shirt. They cost us money. I can't do it another way.
A note about the shirts is, I know that we could give you cheaper shirts. We specifically want a quality shirt, a good quality shirt with a silk screen design, not a digital printed design, an actual ink screen design, because it's a better look. And to keep the costs to where they are now, we do one color printing, white. And this year we're not doing sleeve printing because that's extra money.
That's an extra cost.
And again, it's shirts that we are giving away. And we've done this math before, and I'm sure people are probably sick of it. But if you buy a $20 graphic novel that's on sale, so you're paying $17.50 for it.
Right.
We paid $10 for it.
Yeah, maybe more.
Yeah. So there's only $7.50. The shirts cost a decent amount of money per shirt, and that's got to come out of what you buy as well.
Right.
Like, these are, when you consider, because we're not buying thousands of shirts, because they are silk screened, we are paying just over $10 per shirt.
Yeah.
Which somebody might hear and think, that's cheap. It's not cheap.
No.
Someone might hear it and say, that's too expensive. You're right.
You're probably right.
But we like our printer, and we like the quality.
And again, some of it is just the scale we work at. If we're getting, less than a few hundred shirts, the unit cost goes up.
Oh yeah. Every year, our shirt company's like, well, if you guys just ordered 100 more shirts, it'd be this price break. I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah. So the long and short of it again is just that when we think about these sort of regulations that we have to have,
let's not forget money that we have to pay for designing the shirts as well.
Yeah, absolutely. When we just overall, not specifically about the sale t-shirt, but again, talking about Managed Comics and about pre-ordering things, these are all things that are not decisions we come to easily. And when we try to enforce them, it is for an overall benefit, not just to the business, but oftentimes, believe it or not, to the customer. Like, getting people to utilize Managed Comics as a tool isn't something that necessarily makes it easier for us, although it could in the long term. It is a lot of work for us to use a subscription management platform like Managed Comics. But what it's hopefully doing is making things easier for people by getting them to understand catalogs and FOC dates and looking at their list and understanding what's coming out when and what they're down for and what they're not. So when they come into the store, they're getting the books they want in their entirety, not just the ones that they were down for 2 or 3 years ago, but the new ones that are coming out and the ones that we never even would have carried. This is all for a reason, I swear to God.
This is a weird comparison, but fulfilling my medical prescriptions from Walgreens. In the past, you'd have to bring in your prescription, talk to a pharmacist, set it up, or call it in with a renewal number.
Mm-hmm.
But now with the app, you can just click a button and say reorder.
Yeah.
Or you can set it up to have it be at monthly or 3 monthly or 3 months or whatever.
Sure.
And I 1,000% prefer being able to go into my phone and saying, hey, send me this now, than having to call somebody and have them do it.
Sure.
And I feel like we're giving you that power for your comics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ultimately, we would want these decisions to like have you not even be aware of them because your involvement in your comic buying is so effortless.
Yeah.
That it's just like you shouldn't have to think of these things.
But no, I mean, like, the reality of the situation is that you should have to think about them. Like, there should be... I don't ever want it to be a thing where, again...
I meant specifically all the behind-the-scenes work we do for people.
Okay.
Like, they don't have to know about that.
Because, like, the market...
Because that sounds like we're trying to make them
the
feel
market
guilty.
of the 1980s was just, I go into a shop one time and I say, I want these Marvel and DC books, and then I never have to think about it again. That's not the market anymore. It's not the way books are released.
You didn't buy comics in the 80s.
I did, the late 80s. From Walden Books on the Spinner Rack.
Wow. Did you hear that Barnes & Noble is opening 3 new stores in Chicago?
Oh, that's great.
And it is definitely the Bank Walgreens on 6 Corners.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. It's very cool.
I question how cool it is for
Quimby's?
Volumes, which is right there.
Oh, is it really?
On Milwaukee, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Probably not great. I mean, it's a good location. I'm really curious what they're going to do with like. The
I mean, it'll probably be.
You guys see the upper level is probably going to be like their cafe and stuff, and then the ground floor is book stuff. But like, what's the basement? Very curious.
Isn't the cafe usually when you're like right when you walk in?
No, I've seen a bunch of Barnes and Nobles that have it on the second floor.
Okay.
Like the one in Webster Place, when that was there.
Sure.
It was upstairs.
Where is what goes in the vault? Do you think?
That's the thing. I'm really curious what they do with the basement.
Adult books,
Yeah,
all the
exactly.
romance stuff.
The manga.
So I'm sorry I cut you off. You were talking about how
What?
I was saying people don't need to know what's going on behind the scenes, but you said you want people.
Oh
to be...
no, just that like again like the market of the 80s and even the early 90s was very like I just get these superhero books and I never think about it again. And it's like no, the way everything should work is you should be at least partially knowledgeable about what you're pre-ordering. Like you should look at a catalog, you should look at an email, you should look at a list of what's coming out and decide if you want something. Like I can't think of a reason not to do that. Like I can't, because again, you reach a point where it's like, if you're not even willing to do that, like, are you even willing to read the comics? Like, would you just want them read to you? Like, do you want to just
that
read
is
a
not
synopsis?
a Sophis. That is not a service we are offering.
I mean, if
I said Sophis, that was service and offering together.
I could, if someone wants to talk money, I'm not in a position to say no to different channels, I guess.
Okay, we are legit gonna do this, but it's extra work for you. You're gonna pick a book, an issue that has come out, maybe first issue, maybe something else, and you are gonna read it like an audiobook and record it, and we're gonna release it as a Patreon exclusive episode.
Am I just doing the dialogue?
Just the dialogue. You can.
So it's like a read along.
Well, yeah. Well, you describe as like basically. I picture this as Dal reads you to sleep.
Oh wow. Okay.
So like you do it quiet, a little more lower voice, and you can describe as much or as little of the panel as you want.
Okay.
And again, like I will let you pick the book.
Okay.
Unless you want to open it to the audience.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. I will give you, 2 weeks? Is 2 weeks good?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, do you want me to help you record it, or you just want to do it on your phone and send
I'm
it
sure
to
I can
me?
just do it on my phone.
Sure. I'm afraid that if I don't hound you, you'll not do it. You're a busy man, Dal. Things are happening.
I'm sure I can do it within the next week.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay.
Probably.
And then, if it's well received, then you can offer it as a pay service.
Okay, great.
See, there you go. It's a new revenue fund for you.
Sure.
I mean, for the store.
I mean, it'll be on the store's account, so it's the store's money.
Okay, that's fair. I'm genuinely excited for this.
Cool. I don't think it's going to be interesting.
You're gonna pick. I forget Footprint logo, Size Barrier,
Step by Bloody Step.
Yeah, you're going to pick Step by Bloody Step, aren't you?
No, I mean, it's going to be a newer book. It's not just going to be something, like, I'm certainly not going to do a graphic novel.
The joke of course, Step by Bloody Step is that it's wordless.
But that's the thing. There is dialogue. It's just in a weird alien font. So, like...
You would have to make it up.
Yeah, I'd have to make it up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. No, I'm sure it'll just be like a number one. For
okay, that'll be fun. So, despite the tone of this episode, which I promise you, listener, we do not come into this trying to be dark.
No, but I mean, like, let's be perfectly honest. When you're talking about a comics industry business podcast, and you're spending the month being like, I think we can make it to the end of February. Yeah, man. Like, I it's hard for me to talk about anything else if you want to talk about the business. Yes.
I just thought of a new tagline. And it not because of what you're saying.
Okay.
A comics industry business podcast that's none of your business.
Ooh.
And we don't talk about numbers or anything at all. But my point was that we are still super excited and invigorated by comics.
They're real good, right?
And this upcoming week, before we're talking about them before they even come out, so you have a chance to listen to this podcast and then go to the shop on Wednesday to find the Displaced #1, which we talked about recently.
Yeah, from Boom. Yeah.
From Boom, how much we loved it. And also, if you find this I'm Already Dead from Dark Horse, that comes out this week by Matt Kint.
And Dan McDade.
Yeah, Dan McDade as well. It's the oversized magazine format, but it's supposed to read like a pulp.
Cool.
That's the point of it.
Looking
But
forward to it.
we talked about that as well on a podcast, right? How much we both liked it.
I didn't read it yet.
What? I thought you said you loved it.
I didn't read it yet. Definitely didn't say I loved it.
Huh.
Sorry.
Thought you read it.
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, it's very, very good. Well, I talked about how we both recommended them in the newsletter.
Okay.
And
I do recommend it. I'm looking forward to reading it.
Yeah.
I recommend people order it and buy it.
There's also The Cabinet #1 from Image, which I don't think either of us have gotten a preview for.
No, I did. I read.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I liked it.
Weird. I missed that one then.
It's a good...
I mean, it doesn't matter. I have a physical copy upstairs I can read tonight.
It's a good
but...
supernatural YA adventure book.
Nice.
The first issue feels like it's twice as long as it is because there's so much stuff that happens.
Oh, man. I wanted to point out, there was a book that came out this week that we were excited for, and we talked up, and it was a new #1.
The One Hand?
Yeah, The One Hand. It was also 32 pages for $3.99.
It's great.
Which it's a moot point because we're out of it, and it's sold out.
Yeah, I think we're getting one more copy in of the A cover in a couple weeks.
Yes, because you were told, yeah, it's available to order. You're like, great, give me this many. Like, okay, get one.
Okay, here's the one you're getting, and the other ones are back ordered. Okay,
and that's kind of a disappointment because this is the first of basically a 12-part story told in 6-issue chapters. 6 issues times 2.
I think they're 5 issues.
5 issues times 2. 10-part chapter.
Parts, yeah.
That now we can't get anybody else into.
Well, I mean, some of it, I'm sure they'll go back to press on issue 1s. I'd be shocked if they didn't. But the other thing is, it's an Image #1, and a bunch of people who bought #1 are not going to come back for 2 through 5. They're just not. That's how it works.
Well, when they read it in 6 months, they'll be like, oh, I should have read the rest of these.
I will guarantee you that a bunch of people will be FOCing issue 2. Those numbers are going to go up for sure.
Good.
But, I mean, we've seen it time and again. The amount of people who pick up issue 1 and then won't read it till issue 4 comes out, if they even read it at all.
And You and I #1 from AWA, written by J. Michael Straczynski. It's part of the Resistance universe, but here's the thing. I read it and enjoyed it, and I have never read a Resistance book before.
Uh-huh.
So I don't feel like I needed to know any of that stuff going into it.
I had the opposite experience.
Huh.
Similar backstory. I didn't read any of the Resistance stuff. I think I read like maybe issue 1 when AWA had released it, and just was like, I don't care.
I felt like it was a whole different company back then.
I think it was Mike Deodato who did the art, and I was just like,
yeah.
I don't really care. But I really enjoyed the madness, so I'm like, I'll read the next Straczynski superhero thing from AWA.
Which is my philosophy as well.
But with this one, good God, I could have used like a title page where they explain what happened in this universe, because they make certain assumptions that you have read other Resistance books and understand the dynamic of this world that they do not make easy for you. The art's good, though. Mike Choi draws it, and he does a few different fun styles.
Yeah.
And there's an action sequence that's really well illustrated.
Maybe that's why people should get it. They should get it to see if they agree more with the ease of reading it or how impenetrable it is. That's not what, those weren't your words.
No, impenetrable is maybe overstating it, but there's definitely like a middle section where they expect you to understand certain inherent things in that world that I was like, wait, what? That if there had been a text piece in the beginning instead of a text piece on the absolute last page of the book from Axel Alonso explaining what was going on in the Resistance universe, that would have been more helpful for me. Thank you.
So those are just 4 number ones that are coming out this week, in a week that has like 4 or 5 other new number ones, as well as standbys like Batman, Amazing Spider-Man, Green Lantern, Fall of the House of X.
Mm-hmm.
So but these 4 that we just talked about are new number ones that cover like all the genres between them, and are books that we're actively like, hey, these make us happy to read comics.
Sure.
So we're getting to a really good point in the industry where there's such good books to be excited for.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is they're all like short miniseries, so you need to find something to replace that right away.
Yep.
But the
one hand and 6 fingers are 5 months.
Yeah.
And then figure out something else.
And I feel that there's always a difference between us hyping a book or just telling you a book exists.
And honestly, some of this gets back to my hope and intention of getting people to look at catalogs and look at the weekly emails and look at all that stuff more often, because again, all the books you read end so fast. If you're not paying attention to your subscription list, you will turn around after a year and you're subscribed to nothing. Like that's why you need to be looking at these things.
Yeah.
Because everything is short runs. Everything gets restarted. Everything cycles on and off. And unless you're looking at what's being published to find something to replace that, you will have no comics to read.
And if you ever find yourself in a situation with no comics to read, specifically right now, our sale, our 25% off I Love You But I've Chosen comic sale, which someone referred to this week as I love you but I love comics more. Fine.
I'll allow it. Sure.
Yeah, I said you got the gist. Goes through Tuesday, February 13th.
At 6 p.m. Central Time.
So, stock up.
Yeah, 25% off. You get an exclusive sale t-shirt after you've spent more than $100 after discount, before tax, on shipping or in-store pickup.
And wherever you are, if you're hearing this before 6 p.m. on Tuesday, February 13th, you can buy stuff right now from wherever you are. Listen to this on your phone, go to challengerscomics.com, or go to I Love You But I've Chosen Comics.com.
And that's all with the assumption that you can either come to the store or have it shipped to a U.S. address.
KeepReadingComics.com as well.
If you're listening to this in Canada or Mexico or Europe or Australia, you just
have one of those.
You can order it for local pickup.
Expedite services. Yeah. Did you see that 30 manga book order yesterday? Last night, an order came in.
Maybe
30 different mangas.
Maybe. There was somebody who picked up like basically all of the Pokemon graphic novels that we had.
Yeah.
That was pretty neat.
See, that's the kind of stuff that's happening right now.
It's fun.
So, hope to see you at the store. Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. And help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.